Hello guys, this is Doran's Movies, and today I'll be giving you top 10 most dangerous zones on Azeroth, talking about various areas across the world where, as an average adventurer, you would not want to get lost in. So without further ado, let's get into the lore. Number 10. Stranglethorn Whale. Ages ago, this zone was a major center of the troll civilization. However, as their empires have risen and fallen, so has Stranglethorn Whale, becoming a wild and dangerous jungle. Today, many trolls still inhabit the zone, but they are only one of the many dangers for any potential wanderers. Aside from wild beasts such as tigers, gorillas, crocodiles, and others, there are also many dangerous humanoids such as ogres, naga, murlocs, and just a myriad of other beings. However, creatures are not the only trouble, as while Stranglethorn Whale is beautiful, it is a jungle after all, meaning that it is very easy to get lost. And getting lost with endless living threats around you can only mean trouble. Nevertheless, both the Alliance and the Horde maintain a military presence, as only with a well-armed group is it possible to stay safe within the jungle that is the Stranglethorn Whale. Number 9. Blasted Lands. Just a few decades ago, this zone was known as the Black Morass, and it was a lush swamp, much like the Swamp of Sorrows, nothing like the area today. Unfortunately, the Black Morass was the landing ground for the Orcish horde that invaded Azeroth through the Dark Portal. With the portal being in the center of it, the land had almost completely withered over time, but when the portal was destroyed, any resemblance of nature completely disappeared. Later on, the portal was reopened and closed, and all of this just made everything worse and turned Black Morass into what is now known as the Blasted Lands. Today, there are a few outposts here and there, such as the Netherguard Keep, but the entire zone is very much unsafe and uninhabited. The only life that survived there were basilisks, fell infected beasts, and just other various monstrosities. Aside from them, there are the ogres, some remnants of the Burning Legion, and recently even the Iron Horde that briefly invaded through the portal. Number 8. Bellwood. Once a lush forest, much like the surrounding areas such as Mount Hyjal or Ashenvale, Bellwood was drastically changed during the Burning Legion invasion. As the main goal of Archimonde was to destroy the World Tree and siphon its power, he strategically wanted to destroy this part of the Forest of Kalandor in order to weaken the defenses of the Night Elves and to generally soften up the resistance for that final push. Unfortunately, he was successful, and through the Skull of Gul'dan, the forest was incredibly corrupted and mutated, getting the appropriate name Bellwood. The Legion was eventually defeated and the area freed from them, but nevertheless the damage has already been done and the zone became incredibly dangerous. Today the druids are on a quest to cleanse Bellwood, and they have been mildly successful, but the progress has been slow. The demon presence still exists through the satyr, the native creatures that were driven mad, and all of the rivers and the land that just boils with poison. Even though progress is being made, this zone is still incredibly dangerous. Number 7. Icecrown. Until a few decades ago, Icecrown was very much like the other zones of Northrend. However, everything changed when the Lich King was created by Kil'jaeden. During the reign of Ner'zhul, Icecrown became the heart of the Scourge, and when Arthas took over, this influence would grow significantly stronger. The entire zone was built as a giant fortress made by the massive undead armies in order to protect the Lich King. Colossal citadels were built from Serenite, and all sorts of monstrosities and defenses were put in place to guard them. Even though the Scourge was defeated many years in the past and Arthas was killed, the mindless undead armies still exist to this day. For this reason, Icecrown is still incredibly dangerous for anyone that wanders around it, as all sorts of mindless abominations still prowl the land. Number 6. Vash'jir. Unlike any other mansion zone, this one is completely underwater and very much different from any other place on Azeroth. Long ago, Vash'jir was a high elven city, but as the Sundering happened and the entire planet was split, it had fallen deep beneath the sea. Until recently, it was thought to have disappeared entirely. However, instead it became an important stronghold of the now transformed Highborn known as the Naga. As you might imagine, swimming deep within the ocean brings around many potential dangers, especially when that ocean is filled with Naga, old god minions, elementals, and all sorts of various creatures. Aside from them, there are also monsters such as the giant sharks, kraken, and a wide variety of other sea beings. So, as any regular adventurer, you would not want to get lost in Vash'jir. Number 5. Dualdrag. Located in eastern Northrend, Dualdrag was a home to one of the oldest troll civilizations. For thousands of years, the Drakari have held their rule over this part of the continent and have established quite a kingdom. Recently, with the creation of the Scourge, Dualdrag has been plunged into complete disarray. When the undead had gotten stronger, they had invaded the Drakari kingdom and created a war the trolls had never expected. They had gotten so desperate at one point that they started sacrificing their own sacred Loa in order to survive against the Scourge. Nevertheless, everything turned into chaos, and by the time we see the zone in Wrath of the Lich King, it is just a complete mess with crazed trolls, undead trolls, and all sorts of abominations. So, a zone that is in the middle of an all-out war with the Scourge is not a place you want to be in. Even today, the Scourge was defeated, but Dualdrag had fallen so much that it is just a ruin, nothing like the former troll kingdom. Number 4. Dread Wastes. Dread Wastes in particular is the home to the Mantid Empire that had established itself thousands of years ago. Originally, the Mantid were minions in the army of the old gods, but as their masters have been imprisoned, they served themselves, eagerly awaiting their return. As a proof of how dangerous the zone is, there is a colossal wall built ages ago by the Mogu Empire known as the Serpent Spine in order to protect the rest of Pandaria from them. The Mantid still organize massive swarms on it, but with the recent events and the Shahs taking over Pandaria, we have finally ventured deeply into the Dread Wastes. The Shah have heavily affected the zone itself, corrupting many portions of it. Even though more stable today, a zone that is an empire of the old god servants can't be anything else but dangerous. Number 3. Syllabus. Located in the southwestern Kalimdor, Syllabus is one of the most barren zones on the continent. The main reason for this is because the Kiraji, who much like the Mantid are old god servants, and this place has been their home for thousands of years. Their presence eventually got to a boiling point as the War of the Shifting Sand started and they spread out across much of the surrounding areas. With a lot of sacrifices, mainly of night elves and dragons, they were put behind a barricade, but only some years back the threat became real once again. Today, the Kiraji are very much defeated, but nevertheless their presence is still out there and the entirety of Syllabus reflects that. The entire zone is just a barren desert filled with Kiraji hives, wild creatures that live underground, and in general, the entire area just permeates with evil. Number 2. Plaguelands. Originally a region of the Kingdom of Lordaeron, the zone was tragically transformed in the war against the Scourge, getting the appropriate name Plaguelands. In-game there are technically two zones, the eastern and the western part, but they're both very similar. For a time the entire land was controlled by the Scourge, but as the Lich King started losing his power, the Forsaken had split up and took most of the remnants of Lordaeron. However, for many years to come, the Scourge would still maintain a presence in the Plaguelands, and even after the defeat of the Lich King, there are still remnants of the undead. There has been a lot of effort to cleanse these lands, and progress has been made, but regardless, the zone itself is still incredibly dangerous and corrupted. Lastly, number 1. Broken Shore. Currently the most dangerous zone in pretty much all of Azeroth, the Broken Shore is the center of the Legion invasion. Before the Sundering, this small island was once a part of the city of Suramar and was a temple of Elune, but as it sunk to the bottom of the ocean, it was thought to have disappeared forever. During the Second War, Gul'dan had actually razed this entire island, hoping to get the power from the Tome of Sargeras. Today, it is used by the Legion as the main staging ground for the current invasion. The zone itself is completely barren, resembling one of the dead Legion worlds, so the Broken Shore is the last place on Azeroth that you want to get lost in, as it is essentially the main stronghold of the Burning Legion. Alright, and that is all I have for this video. Do leave your thoughts on what you would like to see next, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this, and also like the video as it really helps out and keeps all of the content going. Thanks a lot for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and see you next time.